Hi everybody, welcome to Level 1 Chalk Pastels. You're going to need chalk pastels, a color wheel, and a chalk pastel Level 1 paper. Please pause this video and collect what you need. Please write your name and your class code at the top of your paper right along with me. Before we begin, I just want to go over the success criteria. So the first one here, my colors are blended well. There's no lines between colors. This, when we're blending, this is what we don't want, these three kind of stripes. What we do want is the colors to be nicely blended together. Do you see how the red-orange turns into orange very gently and turns into yellow? That's what we want. The next one, my color is mostly neat and inside the lines. Check it out. We're trying really hard to control the media here. So we don't want, like on this side, fingerprints and going outside the lines. Now you're still learning, but we want to try for this one right here. Next one, my colors are bright. I didn't blend it too much. So when you blend, you want to be really careful to make sure to preserve those colors. If you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, all the colors are going to be kind of muted like that, and you want to avoid it. And the last one, I chose neighbor colors on the color wheel to blend. If you choose colors that are near each other, the colors will stay strong and bright and vibrant. If you choose colors that are across from each other on the color wheel, like orange and blue, they will turn brown and muddy. So those are the success criteria that you want to think about before you begin. The next thing you want to do is you'd like to take out your color wheel and choose your first color. When we use chalk pastels, we choose colors that are neighbor colors, colors that are near each other on the color wheel. So I started with yellow, and in this case I could choose a green or an orange to blend with that yellow, and I chose a red-orange right here. What happens is if you choose colors that aren't neighbor colors, when they blend together they make brown. So what I'd like you to do is to pause this video and to choose your two neighbor colors and put them on your color wheel. So we're going to start with our blending rectangle, and you want to choose one of your colors to start on one side and really gently start to move across the space. I'm kind of varying my technique here. Sometimes I'm touching it with the short end, which produces a little bit of darker colors, and then other times I'm laying it flat down to really fill up the space. It's up to you how you want to do it. I would experiment a little bit with both ways. Now, if you're getting a ton of dust when you are doing this, that means you're pressing a little bit too hard. And also, please resist the temptation to blow the dust. You don't want to blow the dust because you don't want to get that dust in the air. It's really not good to breathe. So you finish one color, and then you want to start with the other color really gently. Now, notice that I'm going over my first color with the yellow. I'm going over the orange with the yellow. I'm blending it together, which is why it's called blending. Once I've got it mostly covered in, I'm going to go over it with my finger. Now I'm trying really carefully to stay within the rectangle while I am doing this. You're not going all over the place with your finger. Now, some people really, really hate the way this feels. If you don't like it, you're welcome to put a tissue over your finger and blend it that way. Give it a shot. Pause this video and try to do what I just did. The next step is to do tint and shade. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is choose one base color and then also take out your white for your tint and your black for your shade. You may want to quickly wash your hands before you do this. And you'll start with your base color. So in this case, I chose my green, and I'm just going to speed up the video as I carefully color the whole thing in green, trying to stay inside those lines, and then rubbing it together to get a nice solid color. Beautiful. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to do your shade, which is your black. You have to be really careful with black. I'm only going to color a tiny bit along the edge. I'm going to try to blend the rest very carefully with my finger. You can overdo black quite easily. And you can see I went in a different direction. It doesn't look that great. So what I'm going to try to do now is pick up the black again and try it again, coloring in the right direction. There we go. And then rubbing it really gently with my finger. Remember, I want it to be dark at the end and then slowly and gently fading as you get to the middle. Then I'm going to take my white on the other side for my tint and go over that on the other edge. We can't see it as well as the black. And then I'm also going to rub that gently with a different finger, not the same finger that I used to do the black. Now, as you can see, I got a little bit of dust on my paper, so I'm going to gently tap the paper so that, and instead of blowing, so that the dust doesn't fly up. I'm going to add a little bit more white to push up the tint a little bit and blend it to the middle. Now it's your turn. The next technique we're going to try is the base layer plus texture. So just choose any color and go over the rectangle however you want. I'm going to speed myself up here. Fill in the space carefully, and then you just want to smooth it out with your finger, giving a nice solid layer underneath. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to choose another color or another few colors to add some patterns in, because we all know that if we add lots of patterns on top of something, it gives the illusion of texture. Now, I thought this was a big space, so I just divided it up into 4 so I could experiment with a few different textures. You do what you want to do. So on the first one, adding some lines going across with the blue to make it really pop out, to make it really contrast. And then I wonder what would happen if I added a little white here. Take a look. I added a lot of different textures. I'm going to speed it up and then give it a shot on your own. And for this last one, we're going to use a technique called feathering. And I said it also that it's adding value because we want some darks and some lights and some midtones when we create this. So go ahead and take out your color wheel, and I want you to choose 2 colors that are kind of near each other, please. So here we go. In my case, I chose a light blue and then kind of like a magenta-ish pink, which I thought might look kind of cool together. So I put those on there, decided that I would give it a shot, and then you can move the color wheel out of the way and get started for some feathering. Now what you're going to do is you're going to be constantly lifting the pastel off of the paper. Do you see how I'm doing that? I'm going in one direction and I'm constantly lifting it off the paper as I'm working. I did one side in the pink, and then I'm going over some of the pink with blue all the way there to the end. And you're going to want to get your original color and go over until you are happy with how it ends up looking. Go ahead, give it a shot. Try to do some feathering with your chalk pastel. Congratulations! If you've made it this far, that means you are done. The very last step is to have a look at the success criteria and compare your work to it to see what you still need to work on and what you've done well. The first thing is, are your colors blended well? So there's no lines, no stripes in between colors. Have a look at yours. The next one is your color mostly neat and inside the lines and no little fingerprints everywhere? The next one is, are your colors nice and bright? So you blended, but you didn't blend so much that the colors disappeared. And the last one is, when you did blend, did you choose neighbor colors so your colors are still nice and bright and not brown? And remember, this, for a lot of you, it was probably your first time using chalk pastels, and I'm sure you all did an excellent job. Congratulations on passing level 1. I am happy to sign your sheet.